Hi, this is Matt Stone of 180degreehealth.com. I've just released a 6-hour weight loss audio seminar that accompanies my 180 Degree Metabolism ebook. There are 6 modules with this audio program, and the 6 modules on various weight loss topics include the carbohydrate controversy, lowering weight set point, controlling cortisol, exercise myths, overcoming food addiction, and redefining healthy fats. Here's a sample of what is covered in the carbohydrate controversy module, breaking the scientific myths behind the popular low-carb diet. For more information about this weight loss audio seminar, please click on the link directly below this video. Ever heard of the Atkins diet? How about the South Beach diet? Of course you have. Everybody has. In Dr. Atkins' new diet revolution, as well as the many books that have come out championing a low-carb diet for both weight loss and health, there are a few basic scientific assertions being made that seem to make a heck of a lot of sense. For starters, when you consume carbohydrates, foods like pasta or bread or cookies or soft drinks, that carbohydrate is converted into blood sugar. When the sugar levels in the blood rise, insulin is secreted by the pancreas to store that carbohydrate into cells. Insulin gets its name from the word insulate or insulation. Quite simply, low-carb authors suggest that insulin is what causes the food you eat to be stored as fat, or piles on a bunch of insulation onto your body. Because carbohydrates make insulin rise, carbohydrates are therefore fattening, and removing them from the diet causes weight loss. No carbohydrates, no insulin, no stored fat. It makes perfect sense. Also, there is the belief that repeatedly spiking insulin with high carbohydrate meals causes the insulin mechanism to just wear out over time, causing you to develop what's called insulin resistance, where your body's cells don't respond to insulin, so insulin levels rise to abnormal highs to compensate. In other words, it takes more insulin to do the same job. More insulin, more fat storage hormone, more stored fat. This makes so much sense, but a question remains. Is this accurate? Consider what happens when you feed a study subject too many calories. Feed a person more fat than carbohydrate, and insulin levels are kept much lower than a subject eating the same amount of calories but eating more carbohydrates than fat. It appears that the low-carb theories are correct. More carbohydrate equals more insulin. But who gains the most fat? Those with the high insulin levels or the low insulin levels? Surprisingly, those with the lowest insulin levels store the most fat and gain the least muscle tissue. Insulin stores food into muscle cells as well, and without insulin, you end up storing all the excess food you eat into fat instead of muscle. And is carbohydrate really the only food that stimulates insulin? No way. In fact, dairy products and beef have both been shown to trigger a greater release of insulin than white bread, which is a good thing. Low-carb authors also claim that insulin is a hormone that makes you really hungry, when numerous studies show the opposite to be true. Insulin makes you feel really full and stimulates your metabolism. Insulin actually helps with weight loss. And how do you think low-carb diets and diets in general impact your metabolism? Well, just hear what Dr. Atkins had to say. Remember that prolonged dieting, this one meaning the Atkins diet, low fat, low calorie, or a combination, tends to shut down thyroid function? The diagnosis is made on clinical grounds with the presence of fatigue, sluggishness, dry skin, coarser falling hair, an elevation in cholesterol, or a low body temperature. Listen, some people have had success with a low-carb diet, but if it shuts down your thyroid over time, how realistic is it to follow a low-carb diet long-term? It's not realistic at all and can be quite harmful. I had all kinds of health problems myself from following a low-carb diet for several years, despite feeling great at first. Problems like heartburn, bad body odor, horrible mood, insomnia, tooth pain. You get the picture, it ain't a pretty one. And who wants to eat nothing but meat and cheese for the rest of their lives? Or who could even muster up the willpower to do it, even if it were healthy? Not me. And what happens when you start eating carbohydrates again? That brings us to another myth. Eating a low-carb diet actually makes you more insulin resistant. So when you eat carbohydrates again, you respond to them more poorly than you ever did in the past. A low-carb diet actually makes your carbohydrate metabolism worse, not better, with crazier blood sugar swings, insatiable cravings, and rapid fat gain. You become carbohydrate intolerant, and carbohydrates like potatoes that low-carb diet gurus warn about actually help you to overcome insulin resistance, which is a serious medical problem with all kinds of negative complications like increased blood pressure, increased LDL cholesterol, belly fat, and increased risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. Trust me, folks, the low-carb version of the story is wrong. Hey, the low-fat, high-carbohydrate story is wrong too, but it's all good news. Why? Because you don't have to spend your life eating the burger without the bun. Boring. Or the bun without the burger. Boring.